Hello, friends. Welcome to AI for the Articulate. P is for prompt engineering. I'm Dr. Sonali Tamhankar, and this is our AI A to Z course. LLMs are now really good at understanding what we mean, but they still mess up sometimes. Anyone who has gone in for a haircut and left wanting to hide under a cap knows how hard it is to get another intelligence to do exactly what you had in mind. That's what prompt engineering is, learning how to ask questions and give instructions clearly so the LLMs give you answers that actually help. So this is tricky. I've accumulated a ton of hands-on experience in this area preparing for this course. I've used AI for brainstorming and especially for creating images. In yesterday's overfitting video, we talked about how an AI should learn general traits of a giraffe, like long legs and long neck, as opposed to getting fixated on the exact brown spot pattern of one particular giraffe. I wanted an image to highlight this, showing giraffe samples an AI might train on, but with a whimsical touch. So, for today's video on prompt engineering, I ran a little experiment. I asked for 8 giraffes, then I tried 8 cute, fun giraffes. Neither of these images would have worked for the overfitting topic. My actual prompt was inside a thread on overfitting and much more detailed. I had asked for a square image with 8 cartoon giraffes standing, sitting, and bending at various angles, each slightly different, and so on. So, using Gemini and Nano Banana Pro, the first result was almost exactly what I had imagined, complete with extras like a giraffe drinking water and one reading a book. So, exactly what we type in that LLM chat window or prompting can make a big difference. A quick note, we are talking today about prompt engineering, not to be confused with prompt tuning, which is a more technical concept related to parameter efficient fine tuning. So this is a highly popular topic, and I'll link some resources below and we'll go over some standard tips. But first, I wanted to share some personal tips that have helped me. So my number one tip is whenever something feels like grunt work, see if the LLM might do it for you. So, for example, we can use a multi step process. Use your own words to generate a good prompt using some techniques that we'll discuss. And then ask the LLM to generate a detailed prompt for itself. And then use this detailed prompt on a new thread to get the actual answer. Another point, sometimes at the end of a long day, we can't think clearly. And I've seen that exhibit similar behavior at the end of a long back and forth thread. They start to struggle. So it sometimes helps to just start a new thread and you can ask the LLM itself to generate a summary that you can copy paste onto the new thread so there is some continuity. Another very human thing that LLMs sometimes do, once they make a mistake, they just don't see how to correct it in that thread. So you can keep asking it, it just keeps repeating the same mistake. It works better to modify your prompt to avoid the specific mistake that the LLM made on this thread and then use that corrected prompt on a whole new thread. So for me, this has worked better, especially for creating images. One more tip is try different providers. Their capabilities are roughly comparable, but sometimes for a specific prompt, one provider might work better than others. So I typically have a couple of windows open, even within the same one. Like for example, Gemini has fast versus thinking versus pro, and this can make a difference for complex prompts. Okay, now this last point, the fifth point, this is going to be increasingly important. Think about what context the LLM has even before you type your prompt. So when the LLMs first came out, each chat was fresh and all users were strangers to the LLM. So this didn't matter much. But now companies are going to focus more and more on personalization. And this can sometimes be great when your LLM knows you, but sometimes you don't want personalization. So here are some things to try. At the beginning of a conversation, just instruct the LLM to forget all the context it has and answer without any personalization. And increasingly, there may be settings that control how much context about you is automatically included in the chats and how much personalization you want. I'm not being very specific here because the details will vary between providers. And also, I expect these features to evolve in 2026. So keep an eye out and just check the settings and see what controls you have there. Okay, so these were just some extras. Many premier organizations offer free courses on prompt engineering, and you can always ask your LLM for tips. Here are 5 strategies that most of the courses will discuss. One is persona. It might be helpful to ask the LLM to assume a role. So, for example, like an experienced travel agent who specializes in unique destinations. So, describe your desired persona. What expertise might this travel agent have before asking your question? The second tip is called tick. So this is task, instruction, and context. And these can typically come in any order. So the context may be that we are a couple in our late 20s living in Seattle, looking to book a 10-day trip in October. And we are big foodies and hikers, and we hate waking up early, so on. The task might be brainstorm a list of 6 potential vacation destinations for us. And the instruction might be focus on places that have a mix of adventure and relaxation, and we want to avoid tourist traps and so on. You might ask for a format of output. You can say that give us a summary, a vibe check, and budget range. Please format this as an Excel spreadsheet. So you're specifying what output format you want. And you can also add additional columns like would give me top attractions and the typical weather and so on. So you can be very precise what you are asking for. And again, you can ask the LLM to generate some of this prompt. The chain of thought prompting is where you're asking the LLM to think before answering. So this would be great in solving a math problem. But also, for example, if your question is Peru or Morocco better for us, right? You could just ask the question, but your LLM might do better if you ask it to write a reasoning strategy first with top 5 criteria and compare the 2 destinations and then pick a final winner based on the cumulative score. So this might work better both for the LLM to think through the answer and also for you to kind of get the pros and cons. Use delimiters for clarity. So this can sometimes help if you want to say summarize this and then there's some sort of an ambiguity, then the delimiters might make it more precise where you have like text in angle brackets or something. Final example is few shot prompting. You might have heard of this. The 0 shot prompting is where you just ask LLM a question without providing any examples. In few shot prompting, you kind of show, not tell the model what you want. So here is an example. Maybe you're looking for better alternatives to tourist traps in Los Angeles. So you could just ask a question, but like you have to formulate it well. So instead, you might show the LLM what you want. So you could do something like the spot is Empire State Building, the trap is long lines and fences, the swap is top of the rock, and the payoff is better views and in glass panels. So similarly, the spot is gondola and the swap may be the treasure crossing. And then you ask, the spot is Hollywood Walk of Fame in Los Angeles, and then just say the trap colon and leave it at that. And then the LLM will just finish the thread for you. And then it will suggest an alternative like the Griffith Observatory. So sometimes it's easier to show what you want rather than to tell the LLM. This is an example of few shot prompting. So let's just do quick conclusions. You can use LLMs just to do the heavy work and ask it to generate prompts and to summarize for the next thread and so on. These are the typical tips given in prompt engineering using personas, the take methodology where you precisely describe the task, the instruction, and the context. The chain of thought prompting, few shot prompting using delimiters, and so on. There are many courses available online, and this is something you just have to do hands-on, play with it, and that is the best way to learn. So let me know what your experiences are and what tips work for you. Please share in comments below. So tomorrow we have a fancy one. Q is for quantum computing. See you then, and bye.